Okay, I'm gonna first configure community here. Now, a community VLAN, all ports within this community VLAN can communicate with each other and the promiscuous port, whereas a isolated VLAN, PCC and PCD will not be able to communicate with each other. So these ports, they won't communicate with each other, but they can communicate with the promiscuous port. So first, we're going to configure the community VLAN. So we're just going to go into the switch here, enable conf t, and first we're going to turn off VTP, and we're going to make VLAN 101, which is going to be our secondary community VLAN. We're going to name it secondary community, private VLAN, and if you put question mark here, you have these types of private VLAN. So for this one, we're going to do community, exit, and then we're going to create VLAN 100. We are going to name this primary, private VLAN. This is going to be primary. And we need to associate this private VLAN. So VLAN 100, we need to associate with 101. Okay, exit. And now we're going to configure ports G01 and ports G02. Interface range G01 to 2. And switchboard mode, private VLAN, question mark. So we have trunk promiscuous or host, and this one is going to be just host. Switch port, private VLAN, host, association, and 100 for the primary VLAN, and we're going to associate with our secondary VLAN, which is 101. Okay, and lastly, we need to go to this port over here, interface G33, and we need to make this port a promiscuous port. So switch port mode, private VLAN promiscuous, and switch port, private VLAN, and within this port we need to map our primary VLAN to the secondary VLAN that we created. So mapping 100 101. Okay, and then we just enter configuration there. So PCA should be able to ping PCB, and PCA should also be able to ping the router, because G33 is a promiscuous port. So we'll go to PCA, ping, the IP address is 192.168.0.2 for PCB. And as you can see, that completely worked. And then we're going to ping the router now, 192.168.0.254. And that one worked as well. I'm going to show you now what happens if G33 is not configured as a promiscuous port. So let's go back to the switch, conf t here, interface G33, switch port, private VLAN, sorry, that's switch port mode, private VLAN, promiscuous, and then we'll type a no at the beginning there. So now we've deleted G33 as a promiscuous port, and initially with the promiscuous port we were able to ping the router from PCA. So let's give this a try. Ping 192.168.0.254. And the ping fails. Now let's bring back the switch port mode private VLAN promiscuous command, and let's attempt to ping again. And we'll try again. And now it works. So that one just kind of took a while. Now I'm going to show you how to configure a isolated VLAN. Now the difference is in an isolated VLAN, all ports within this VLAN are unable to communicate with each other, but they can communicate with the promiscuous port. So from the community VLAN from PCA, we were able to ping PCB. In an isolated VLAN, PCC will not be able to communicate with PCD. And I'll show you the configuration here real quick. So let's just exit here. And now we're going to create VLAN 102. We'll name this secondary isolated. And we're going to give VLAN 102 a private VLAN isolated command. And we're going to go back to VLAN 100. Since we've already created this, I don't have to create it again, but we do need to associate our new VLAN 102. Okay, and we're going to do interface range. This time it will be G11 and G12. And switch port mode, private VLAN host, and switch port private VLAN host association. So our primary VLAN 100 associated with 102. Okay, and we're gonna go back to interface G33, so our promiscuous port, and we need to associate our primary VLAN with the new isolated VLAN that we just created. Sorry, that's the wrong command. So that will be switchport private VLAN mapping primary VLAN 100 and 102. Okay, enter. And let's do a quick test here. So PCC should be able to ping .254 because it's going through the promiscuous port. 168.0.254. And again, this might just take a while. There we go. Now PCC is able to ping .254 through the promiscuous port. But because PCC and PCD are in their isolated VLANs, these ports, PCC should not be able to ping PCD. So let's give that a try. So 192.168.0.4. Yeah. So this one's not going to work completely at all. And if we go back to the switch and we just type end here, do show VLAN private VLAN, you will get this table here where the primary VLAN 100, secondary 101 community, and the ports that they belong to. You'll notice G33 both belong in the same primary and secondary because it's a promiscuous port. And if you do show VLAN private VLAN type, you will find the VLANs that we created in the database. So let's go back to PCC again. Again, PCC should not be able to ping PCD. You can see from here. And PCA should not be able to ping PCC or D because they're both in different secondary VLANs. So 192.168.0.3. That should work. Okay, and let's go back to PCC again. Yeah, PCC cannot communicate with PCD.